Chapter 137, the number one figure from the military, Wan Chengchong. This chapter is updated by novels.pl. Zhang Yuochen could briefly guess at what had happened in the Martial Market Bank, but he still felt thrilled when he heard from Liu Quanshan. He said, "The Martial Market Bank has operated for such a long time with the support of the official strength in Yanwu Commandery, who has the power to remove all of the industries from the Martial Market Bank overnight." Liu Quanshan said wistfully. The opponents have surely planned this for a long time. They were just waiting for the right moment. Was it the black market? Zhang Yuochen asked. Liu Quanshan nodded and said, "Besides the black market, there is another force that hides behind the black market. They are the ones who got the real benefits from this cleanup of the Martial Market Bank. Although the black market had seized some of the industries, they only received 20% of it. A force even greater than the black market. Is it the moon worship demonic sect?" Zhang Yuochen asked. Liu Quanshan said, "Yes. It is the moon worship demonic sect. It has mobilized the masters from all of the gang branches in Yanwu Commandery in order to launch this battle. Moreover, I suspect that they have also arranged a large number of masters from other commanderies, and hence why the Martial Market Bank couldn't fight back at all. The Martial Market Bank and the official power have always maintained a cooperative relationship. Why didn't the official power step up and help to suppress the black market and the moon worship demonic sect?" Zhang Yuochen asked, confused. Liu Quanshan shook his head, gave a wry smile, and said, "After Square Commandery declared war on the Yanwu Commandery, they took down 12 cities of Yanwu Commandery and killed an army of 100,000 soldiers within 10 days. Everyone feels insecure and is thrown into confusion in the royal palace of Yanwu Commandery. Who would still have the energy to mobilize the military to aid the Martial Market Bank?" The black market and the moon worship demonic sect noticed this. Therefore, they decided to attack the Martial Market Bank, catching them off guard. Zhang Yuochen comforted him and said, "Don't lose faith, manager. No one could stop them with both the black market and the moon worship demonic sect working together. It's not your fault. Anyhow, Liu must thank the 9th Prince for saving my life. If you need me in the future, just let me know. You will pay back your kindness today." Liu Quanshan tingled and continued, "Is the 9th Prince going back to Yanwu City?" "Yes." Zhang Yuochen replied. Liu Quanshan shook his head and said, "Please do not go back. Yanwu Commandery is precarious with constant controversy in the hall now. There are armies from Square Commandery stationed outside and the covetous black market and the moon worship demonic sect inside. Since the Yanwu Commandery Prince is in Yanwu City, there's no chaos, for now. Yet, if anything happens to the Yanwu Commandery Prince, forgive my rudeness, which is when the Yanwu Commandery will be destroyed. Imagine, if Yanwu Commandery is extinguished. Wouldn't it be suicidal to return to Yanwu City? Come back to the school of the Martial Market with me." It is impossible for them to take down the school of the Martial Market no matter how rampant Square Commandery, Black Market, and Moon Worship Demonic Sect are. Zhang Yuochen thought of his mother, the 9th Commandery Princess, and his father, who was familiar and unfamiliar at the same time. There was a firm look in his eyes as he said, "Manager, you needn't persuade me. I must go back to Yanwu City. I'll have to go back, no matter how dangerous it is. I can't leave my family there." Liu Quanshan stopped persuading him and said, "Be careful of the Queen and the Minister when you are back at Yanwu City. They have always wanted to get rid of you. Moreover, they control half of the power in the city, where many large-scale family and suzerains are dependent on them." "Thank you for reminding me." Zhang Yuochen then asked, "Manager Liu, what's your plan?" Liu Quanshan sighed again and said, "These industries in Yanwu Commandery have been completely lost under my operation and caused heavy losses to the bank. I have to return back to Devil Marshal City to accept the punishment." At this moment, a loud noise came from the Duke's mansion. Zhang Yuochen and Liu Quanshan exchanged a look, stopping the conversation and walking outside. There was a loud roar. It was as if all the spiritual chi between heaven and earth was being emptied, in a just moment, and the ground trembled. In the Duke's mansion, strands of the inscription from the array were activated. They intertwined into a large net and rose up into the air. The Manners Protection Tactical Formation had opened. Chen Yukan, the Major General of the Tenyue Gate, personally presided over a large tactical formation of 5,000 elite soldiers and had fierce clashes with the men in black who that tried to break into the Duke's mansion. Liu Quanchen heard the sound from the outside and stayed calm, asking, "The ninth prince, where is this place?" "The general's mansion in Tanyue Gate." Zhang Yuochen said. Liu Quanchen nodded his head gently. It turned out to be the Tanyue Gate. With the ability of Chen Yukin and the Defender Array, it should be able to block the attack from the Black Market and the Moon Worship Demonic Sect. Zhang Yuochen said, Yanwu City will surely be alerted if a war breaks out in Tanyue Gate. The masters of Yanwu City will be able to arrive within 2 hours. Therefore, the crisis in Tanyue Gate will be solved as long as Chen Yukin can hold them off for 2 hours. "You're right." Liu Quanchen looked at Zhang Yuochen with a very appreciative look and said, "It's right act that you chose to come to Tanyue Gate because that is the only way out. How nice would it be if you were my son?" Liu Chengfeng is also a prodigy. His achievements will be great in the future. Zhang Yuochen said. Liu Quanchen shook his head and said, "His ability is not even 1/10 of yours." Zhang Yuochen looked at the giant array suspended above his head and nodded lightly. "There's no need to open the Defender Array, just the Mana Protection Array. It should be able to ward off people from the Black Market and Moon Worship Demonic Sect." The Defender Array consumed a considerable number of spiritual crystals and hence it couldn't be opened easily. Every time when the Defender Array in Tanyue Gate was opened, at least 10,000 spiritual crystals had to be consumed, which was worth 10 million silver coins. So, the Defender Array wouldn't be opened unless it was an absolute crisis. Even if just the Mana Protection Array was opened to protect the Duke's mansion, 500 spiritual crystals would be consumed. Since the Mana Protection Array has been opened, the soldiers outside should be able to ward off the evil people from the Black Market and the Moon Worship Demonic Sect without the help of Zhang Yuochen. 2 hours later, all the men in black who came to attack the Duke's mansion were all defeated, just left hundreds of dead warriors, littering the streets. 5,000 soldiers who guarded outside the Duke's mansion also suffered heavy casualties. Almost 1,000 people died and more than 2,000 people were heavily injured, which was a tragedy. Liu Quanchen watched the backs of the men in black as they retreated. His eyes dilated and he wore a puzzled look, as he said, "That's strange. Why was it only the heretics of the Black Market that attacked the Duke's mansion, but not the masters of the Moon Worship Demonic Sect?" "The masters of the Moon Worship Demonic Sect didn't attack us?" Zhang Yuochen asked. Liu Quanchen nodded his head and said, "If the masters of the Moon Worship Demonic Sect also attacked the Duke's mansion, the Mana Protection Ray may not have been strong enough to ward off them." Zhang Yuochen meditated for a moment and said, "Although the Black Market and the Moon Worship Demonic Sect work together to fight the Martial Market Bank, they are not the same kind of people, after all. Now that the Moon Worship Demonic Sect has benefited from it, perhaps they just stand by and watch the Black Market and us have an internecine war." "That is possible." Liu Quanchen thought for a moment and said, "The chief of the Moon Worship Demonic Sect who is stationed in the Yanwu Commandery must be a relentless person. None of the people I sent to investigate her came back alive. I haven't found out her real identity yet. I only know that the person is probably a woman. If you fight with her in the future, you have to be extremely careful." The sound of rapid footsteps broke out. Chen Yukin and Zhang Shaxiu walked toward Zhang Yuochen. There was a big bald fellow with a huge pair of elephant ears that walked up to them. That big bald fellow was over 8½ feet tall, wearing a golden armor, which made him look like a giant tower. A long cloak drug behind him and his body emitted the powerful smell of martial arts. Wielding a green battle axe in his hand. Even Chen Yukin and Zhang Shaxiu also appeared to be very respectful around that big bald fellow. They even walked behind him carefully. Chen Yukin provided introductions. "Your Highness Ninth Prince, may I introduce you to Wan Chengchong, the commander of the Imperial Guards of Yanwu City." Zhang Yuochen had heard of the designation of Wan Chengchong, who was the #1 figure in the military of Yanwu Commandery. He was known as powerful enough to carry mountains and was identified as a myth of martial arts with the ability of the Heaven Realm. The figure like Wan Chengchong wouldn't serve as a commander of Imperial Guards in this inferior commandery at first. He was willing to commit to this position as he owed Yanwu Commandery Prince his life, ever since he was young. Therefore, he agreed to help Yunwu Commandery Prince to command Yunwu City for 40 years. Wan Chengchong was reclusive all the time and rarely asked about imperial guards. Until recently, the great change took place in Yunwu Commandery. Yunwu Commandery Prince then asked him to come out and guard Yunwu City. Wan Chengchong had a pair of sharp eyes and looked Zhang Yuochen over from head to toe. He complimented Zhang Yuochen more once Zhang Yuochen remained calm in front of him. "You're indeed a genius. No wonder your majesty asked me to pick you up personally. Your talent should not be belittled by the 7th prince," Wan Chengchong said. Wan Chengchong wasn't a pure human but instead, from the elephant human clan. There was not only the blood of a human flowing inside of his body, but also the blood of a brute elephant. Zhang Yuochen asked, "When are we going back to Yunwu City?" "Tomorrow." Wan Chengchong paused and said coolly, "I have something to take care of tonight." Since the black market and moon worship demonic sect led such an outbreak in Yunwu City and completely ignored me as the commander of the Imperial Guards, they should pay the cost. Now, the masters of the black market and the moon worship demonic sect are gathering around at the Tenyue Gate. It's time to handle them. Chen Yukan, open the array to protect the city. I will clean up these heretics from the black market and moon worship demonic sect. Chen Yukan furrowed his eyebrows slightly and said, "Grand Commander, it will cost another 10,000 spiritual crystals to open the defender array again." Wan Chengchong gave Chen Yukan a straight look and said, "I will pay for it. Open the array for protecting the city. I will handle the rest." When Chen Yukan and Wan Chengchong were gone, the defender array in the Tenyue Gate was opened again. Boom! The entire gate of the city was shaking. A huge round array plate was suspended in the sky, over 300 feet in the air, rotating slowly, covering the entire Tenyue Gate. The violent vibrations from the Tenyue Gate made the surrounding mountains shake as if the whole world was shivering. Beams of light rushed up from the ground, one by one, and connected with the array plate in the sky. Within a second, the dark sky had been completely illuminated by the light of the array and it was shining as bright as the daytime.